You were not at the CIA on September 11th, 2001, and the successive months after that. You were at the National Security Agency. But looking back at what the American people were told about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, was there a colossal intelligence failure?
Yeah, we got it wrong. All right, and although I wasn't at the CIA, I was in the room when that national intelligence estimate was approved by the community. It wasn't just a CIA document. And frankly, Tim, I voted yes. It was my belief that what we were saying in that document was correct.
Why did you get it wrong?
Lots of reasons. This has certainly been gone over by a whole generation of American intelligence officers. There are a couple of narratives. I can suggest a few to you right now. Number one, maybe momentum in terms of what we knew about Iraq, what we had learned about Iraq. And even though our more recent reporting had been very thin, we still kind of carried the old conclusions forward without, frankly, holding them up enough to the light in order to see whether or not they were still valid. I'll tell you this, I've seen since then, right? I've seen estimates that we've had with high confidence turn to medium confidence. And I'd say to our analysts, why is that now medium confidence? Nothing's changed. And the answer is yes, but the information on which it has been based has aged off. And therefore, we're reducing our confidence level. So we've gone to school on this.
Let me turn to Pakistan. This was the article on Thursday in the Washington Post. The United States has escalated its unilateral strikes against al-Qaeda members and fighters, operating in Pakistan's tribal areas, partly because of anxieties that Pakistan's new leaders will insist on scaling back military operations in that country, according to U.S. officials. Washington's worried that pro-Western President Pervez Musharraf, who has generally supported the U.S. strikes, will almost certainly have reduced powers in the months ahead, and so it wants to inflict as much damage as it can to al-Qaeda's network now, the officials said. Can you confirm that?
No. I can't talk about, confirm or deny any operational activity by CIA or any other organ of the U.S. government. But what I can tell you about is the situation along the AFPAC border, the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, which presents a clear and present danger to Afghanistan, to Pakistan, and to the West in general, and to the United States in particular.
Do you believe that's where Osama bin Laden is?
Yes.
Michael Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, believes if there is another terrorist attack, it will originate there.
We believe so too. We can see what's going on. You talked before about intelligence and how good or ill we have been in the past. We have gotten much better against al-Qaeda, and of course tomorrow we should be better than we are today. So that's not an absolute scale. We have to keep getting better. But it's very clear to us that al-Qaeda has been able over the past 18 months or so to establish a safe haven along the Afghan-Pakistan border area that they have not enjoyed before, that they are bringing operatives into that region for training, operatives that, a phrase I would use, Tim, wouldn't attract your attention if they were going through the customs line at Dulles with you when you're coming back from overseas.
Look Western?
Look Western, who would be able to come into this country, again, without attracting the kind of attention that others might.
You're getting better local cooperation?
We have good cooperation with a variety of allies, and I should add, maybe as a point to some of the things that were made in the Washington Post article, that a counterpoint to it, that we have not had a better partner in the war against terrorism than the Pakistani government.
Do you believe that President Musharraf will be there by June?
I don't know. This is going to be a product of the Pakistani political process.
You talked about some internal divisions within al-Qaeda between Saudis and Egyptians. Do you believe that Osama bin Laden is simply a figurehead?
Figurehead would not give him sufficient weight. Let me use iconic figure. That his presence, and icon is the best word I can think of, gives a certain punch, a certain image to the global movement. But he's not operationally involved. And an awful lot of the operational force of al-Qaeda, the Arabic name is the name, and then often finished by the country they're from. An awful lot of them are al-Masris, which means the Egyptians.
In 2006, President Musharraf had an agreement with some of the tribal lords saying that it would be hands-off by the Pakistani army. The result of that seems to be this increased terrorist activity, or at least organizational ability. Was that a mistake by Musharraf?
Absolutely disastrous. Right? And look, to be fair to President Musharraf, in different times and in different circumstances, all of us would think that what he had what he had decided to do was wise, was patient, was what you needed to do over the long term. The problem was what was happening over the short term. He was, in fact, pulling forces and the writ of the Pakistani government back from the tribal region, and al-Qaeda and the Taliban were having more and more free reign there. And so, again, the overall objective, an easier military hand, more economic, cultural, political integration, investment, work for the long term, it's unarguable. But what it turned into since September of '06, when Governor Oxide signed that peace agreement in North Waziristan, is what I referred to a minute ago. It created that safe haven.
Did you tell Musharraf when you met with him in January about that?
Yes.
And he's changed?
Yes, he understands.
One last question on that. Could we apprehend bin Laden, but are we concerned if we did, it would jeopardize our ability to monitor what al-Qaeda is doing?
No. Bin Laden, Zawahiri, the other leadership of al-Qaeda, I suppose one can make an argument on the one hand, on the other hand, but I can tell you operationally, we are turning every effort to kill or capture that leadership from the top to the bottom.